David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney Plus. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney Plus every night.
Tonight, breaking news. The war with Iran helping inflation hit a 3-year high. Americans now paying more for gas and record prices for some groceries. What President Trump just said about Americans' financial situation that's now getting so much attention. Also breaking tonight, the number of hantavirus cases rising. All eyes on 18 people evacuated for that infected cruise ship and placed in quarantine. 18 others now being tracked in at least 10 states. Disturbing new details in that horrific scene on the runway. Authorities identifying the man struck by a passenger jet during takeoff, saying he scaled the 8-foot security fence in just seconds. Tonight, President Trump leaving for his high-stakes summit in China. What he's saying about ending the war in Iran. Tonight, David Muir traveling to China to cover the summit between President Trump and President Xi. The heated hearing on Capitol Hill, FBI Director Kash Patel clashing with lawmakers over reports of his excessive drinking. The NBA player found dead inside a home. Tonight, what law enforcement sources are now saying. The race to rescue 10 people, their plane going down 80 miles off the coast of Florida. Prosecutors demanding access to Tiger Woods' prescription drug records following his DUI arrest, what a judge has decided. And America Strong tonight, the graduation surprise of a lifetime. The students, their families on their feet cheering. You'll see why.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, I'm Whit Johnson. David Muir is on his way to China for President Trump's summit with President Xi. But we begin here tonight with breaking news. The war in Iran having a major impact on the U.S. economy and your money. The war in Iran pushing costs higher. The Labor Department's Consumer Price Index rising 3.8% over last year. Americans paying even more for gas. The national average hovering around $4.50 per gallon. The cost expected to keep rising towards Memorial Day. And some groceries now hitting record prices. The cost of ground beef at an all-time high. Tomatoes up 40% over last year. President Trump, who campaigned on lowering prices, what he's now saying about Americans and their financial situation. ABC's chief business correspondent, Rebecca Jarvis, leads us off.
Tonight, from skyrocketing prices at the pump to all-time highs for beef, families are feeling the pain from the biggest jump in the cost of living in 3 years. The U.S. government says prices in April jumped 3.8% compared to last year. Energy prices in the wake of the Iran war fueling the surge. Gas up 28.4% year over year. The national average for regular now $4.49 a gallon. For diesel, $5.63 a gallon.
To fill that fuel tank right there on this Kenworth, it would cost, that's 100 gallons, so it'd cost me about $710.
Trucker Kyle Cameron says before the war broke out, that same fill-up would have cost him about $465.
Diesel prices impact shipping all across the country, and that's one of the reasons that grocery prices jumped such a large rate month over month.
Beef at an all-time high, up 14.9%. Ground beef now more than $7 a pound. Tomatoes up 50%. Coffee up nearly 30%. Our Alex Perez met Chicago shoppers feeling the pain.
I could buy milk for $1.99 3 weeks ago, $2.29 now.
Airline fares are up more than 20%. By one estimate, the American household is spending $642 more per month for the same stuff as they did 3 years ago. And for the first time in 3 years, wages aren't rising faster than inflation.
Inflation at 3.8%, wage gains at 3.6% in the past year. And that's why people are really feeling pinched and that they have to stretch every dollar.
President Trump rejecting the idea that the pain Americans are feeling from inflation will influence his negotiations with Iran.
The only thing that matters when I'm talking about Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't think about Americans' financial situation. I don't think about anybody.
And Whit, a new poll shows that 75% of Americans say the war with Iran has had a negative effect on their financial situation. But it's not just energy-related categories. Housing costs, those prices are up 3.3% from a year ago. Whit?
Alarming numbers. Rebecca Jarvis for us. We appreciate it. And at this hour, President Trump is on his way to China, the war in Iran overshadowing his high-stakes summit with President Xi. At the White House earlier today, the president pressed about the stalled talks with Iran and insisting he doesn't need President Xi's help in ending the war. ABC's chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce in Beijing tonight.
Tonight, President Trump setting off for China, a trip he had already postponed once because of the war in Iran.
This is going to be a very exciting trip. A lot of good things are going to happen.
Trump had hoped to arrive in China victorious over Iran, with momentum to fuel new deals on trade and technology. Instead, the war is at a standstill. On Capitol Hill, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham warning the president to remember China is one of Iran's closest allies.
Does China buy 90% of Iranian oil, Ms. Secretary?
China buys a very large percentage of Iranian oil.
90% is pretty large. So President Trump, when you go to China, realize that the person you're talking to is propping up Russia and Iran.
Trump insists he doesn't need Chinese President Xi's help to end the war.
We're going to have a long talk about it. I think he's been relatively good, to be honest with you.
And the president had high hopes for this trip, looking to reset this relationship. He's bringing with him over a dozen American business leaders, including Apple's Tim Cook and Elon Musk. On the agenda, everything from tariffs to AI, but with the war with Iran looming large over all of this.
Yes, a pivotal summit, Mary, and David Muir will be anchoring World News Tonight and our coverage of the summit from China starting tomorrow night. We do move on now to the deadly hantavirus outbreak. The number of cases linked to that infected cruise ship rising to at least 11. All eyes on the quarantine units now monitoring 18 former passengers in Omaha and Atlanta. Health officials also tracking 18 other people in at least 10 states. ABC's Victor Oquendo in Omaha tonight.
Tonight, with a growing number of hantavirus cases, officials here in the U.S. are monitoring more Americans who may have been exposed to infected passengers from that cruise ship. Health teams across 10 states are now tracking 18 people who either returned home early from the cruise or traveled on a plane with a sick passenger, none of them showing signs of illness. And we're also getting our first update on the 18 passengers in quarantine facilities. One symptomatic passenger in a biocontainment unit in Atlanta has tested negative for hantavirus, and all 16 in Omaha are symptom-free, including the only American to test positive for the virus who remains in biocontainment.
Are you finding most people are willing to quarantine here, or they're eager to get back home?
I think that they want to do what's safest for them. So far, everyone's been very cooperative.
Tonight, the World Health Organization is warning of the potential for more infections because symptoms can take weeks to present.
Good morning, everyone.
Jake Rosemarin, now in quarantine in Omaha.
Here's my thermometer for temperature checks during the day. I have a stationary bike, more of the outer decks.
He tells us he was relieved to get off that ship.
I didn't think anything was wrong until we found out that it was hantavirus, and that's when I was scared. I'm feeling well.
Jake feels great, but has decided to stay for the full quarantine.
My plan right now is to stay for the 42 days. I think that is the best decision that's for me and for my family, and I know that here I'm in the best care possible.
Wait, over the next few days, medical teams will perform twice daily symptom and fever checks. So far, everyone here symptom-free and stable. Whit.
Encouraging news. Victor Oquendo, thank you for that. Next tonight, disturbing new details in that horrific scene on the runway at Denver Airport. Authorities identifying the man struck by a passenger jet, saying he scaled the 8-foot security fence and cleared the barbed wire in just seconds before making it onto the runway. Here's ABC's Gio Benitez.
Tonight, authorities revealing new details about the deadly security breach on a Denver runway just as a Frontier Airlines jet was roaring for takeoff.
This was a horrible tragedy. that has affected many people.
41-year-old Michael Mott, identified as the man seen in surveillance video at 11:13 p.m. Friday, taking only 15 seconds to climb an 8-foot perimeter fence topped with barbed wire near that runway. Just 2 minutes later, he casually walks into the path of that passenger jet, killed by its engine.
There was an individual walking across the runway. We've got smoke in the aircraft. We're going to evacuate on the runway.
The engine bursting into flames, smoke filling the cabin, passengers forced to evacuate by emergency slides. Denver's airport facilities are twice the size of Manhattan, and officials are now reviewing its perimeter security program, saying the airport received an intrusion alarm but couldn't see Mott because of a herd of deer nearby.
They did not initially see the trespasser. The camera view was alternating between the wildlife and the individual. Even if the fence was taller, we believe a motivated individual could find a way to penetrate it.
And Whit, the medical examiner believes Mott died by suicide. If you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide, free confidential help is available 24/7. Just call or text the National Lifeline at 988. Whit.
Gio Benitez for us. Thank you. Now to the heated hearing on Capitol Hill. FBI Director Kash Patel clashing with lawmakers over reports accusing him of excessive drinking. Patel firing back. Here's ABC's Jay O'Brien.
You still have the confidence of the president?
Tonight, the fireworks on Capitol Hill. FBI Director Kash Patel grilled by Democrats about reports he has a drinking problem.
Episodes of excessive drinking, unexplained absences, and behavior that concern current and former FBI and DOJ officials. Is it your testimony that those allegations are categorically false?
Unequivocally, categorically false.
And so there have been no occasions when your security detail had difficulty waking or locating you, is that right?
Nope, it's a total farce. I don't even know where you get this stuff, but it doesn't make it credible because you say so.
I'm not saying it, Director Patel. It's been written and documented.
You are literally saying it.
No, I'm saying that these are reports, Director Patel.
Patel drawing scrutiny after he was seen celebrating and pounding beers at the Olympics with the USA men's hockey team. The director insists he was in Milan on separate official business. He's now suing the Atlantic magazine after it reported on alleged bouts of excessive drinking.
Are you willing to take the test, it's called the audit test, that members of our active duty military and others take to determine whether they have a drinking problem?
I'll take any test you're willing to take.
I will take it, Director Patel. I'll take it. You ready to take it?
Let's go.
Yes or no?
Let's go. Side by side.
I'll take it.
Senator Patty Murray seizing on reports that Patel hands out bottles of bourbon emblazoned with his name.
If you want to pass out liquor or pop bottles in a locker room, stick to podcasting.
Patel firing back with a slew of FBI crime stats.
This is what real leadership looks like at the FBI. Every one of you was given it. This is what's happened under my tenure at the FBI and the Trump administration. 20-point drop in the homicide rate. 45,000 violent offenders arrested last year.
I appreciate the work of our FBI agents, but leadership, serious leadership, is a concern.
And with other news to report tonight, FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary has been forced out, turning in his resignation today to President Trump. The two had clashed for months. Most recently, sources tell ABC News, over Makary's opposition to Trump's push to authorize fruit-flavored vapes. Makary was concerned it could encourage their use in young people.
All right, Jay O'Brien, thanks so much. Turning now to a disturbing discovery, the body of Memphis Grizzlies player Brandon Clarke found dead in a home. What law enforcement sources are now saying. Here's ABC's Will Reeve.
Tonight, the NBA community is mourning the death of 29-year-old Memphis Grizzlies player Brandon Clarke. According to LAPD sources, Clarke was found overnight dead from a possible drug overdose. His body located at a home in the San Fernando Valley. Narcotics were also found at the scene, sources say. Clarke's agency confirming his death in a statement, saying in part, "We are all beyond devastated by the passing of Brandon Clarke. He was so loved by all of us here and everyone whose life he touched."
Brandon Clarke from Vancouver and Gonzaga University.
The Grizzlies forward was picked in the first round of the 2019 NBA draft. He played with Memphis for all 7 years of his career and signed a 4-year, $52 million extension with the team back in 2022. But Clarke's career was recently plagued by injuries. He appeared in just 2 games this season. His sudden death comes just weeks after he was arrested in Arkansas near the Tennessee border and charged with possession and trafficking of a controlled substance. And with the Grizzlies saying in a statement tonight they are heartbroken by the tragic loss of Brandon Clarke, calling him an outstanding teammate and an even better person. Whit.
Will Reeve, our thanks to you. New details just coming in tonight on a remarkable rescue about 50 miles off the coast of Florida. 10 people rescued after their plane went down in the Atlantic. Let's get right to ABC's Matt Rivers. And Matt, what more are you learning tonight?
Yeah, with late details and new images of what is truly a miraculous rescue that took place earlier today just off the coast of Florida. We can show you some brand new images from the Coast Guard of that rescue taking place earlier today. We know it was a twin turboprop plane with about 10 people on board, crashing down 50 miles off the coast of Melbourne, Florida, traveling between two islands in the Bahamas. The pilot declaring an emergency, losing communication with air traffic controllers. The Coast Guard, as you can see, then sweeping in, locating the plane, managing to rescue all people on board that plane. They are all now being brought back to Melbourne, Florida. The cause of that crash tonight, Whit, remains under investigation.
All right, Matt Rivers with those new details. We appreciate it. When we come back tonight, dash cam video of an 18-wheeler plowing into vehicles stopped at a red light and the mangled debris. Two police officers suing Matt Damon and Ben Affleck over their latest Netflix movie, how they say the movie hurt them. And graduation surprise, the gift that had the seniors and their parents on their feet. It's America Strong. Next tonight, the frightening moment when an 18-wheeler plowed into traffic in Goldsboro, North Carolina. Dashcam video here capturing the massive truck slamming into 6 vehicles waiting at a red light. Several cars crushed, 9 people injured, 2 airlifted to urgent care. The truck driver charged with failure to reduce speed. An investigation is now underway. A Michigan groom weeping as he was sentenced to at least 30 years in prison for killing his best man on his wedding night. James Shira ran over his best friend Terry Taylor with his SUV after an alcohol-fueled argument in August 2024. Shira says it wasn't intentional, but prosecutors say he left the scene and then returned to strike his friend. Shira's wife is charged with being an accessory. When we come back, why 2 police officers are suing Matt Damon and Ben Affleck over their latest movie about 2 cops. To the Index now, a judge has ordered Tiger Woods to turn over prescription drug records following his arrest in Florida on suspicion of driving under the influence. Woods was involved in a 2-vehicle accident March 27th, his Land Rover ending up on its side. Police say 2 pain pills were found in his pocket. He's now being treated at an inpatient program overseas. 2 South Florida police officers are suing Matt Damon and Ben Affleck over their Netflix movie, The Rip. The film centers on 2 officers who uncovered $20 million in drug money and the paranoia and violence that follows. The officers who are suing say the story does resemble a 2016 case they worked on and that the movie has damaged their reputations. The actor's film company says the movie doesn't portray real people. Waymo is recalling nearly 3,800 robotaxis because their software could allow them to enter flooded roads. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration citing an incident in San Antonio last month when an unoccupied vehicle approached a flooded roadway and then continued at reduced speed. The company says it's still working on a permanent software fix. Still ahead, the graduation surprise, the incredible gift the seniors didn't see coming. America Strong tonight, the giant graduation surprise.
Tonight, as graduation season begins, these college seniors are about to get the surprise of a lifetime. It's graduation day at North Carolina State's Wilson College of Textiles. Commencement speaker Anil Kochur at the podium, emotional as he tells the story of his late father.
This is the day that my father sent me to talk to you.
His dad, Prakash Chand Kochur, came to Raleigh, North Carolina from India in 1946 to study textile manufacturing at NC State.
He arrived in a country far from home in a time very different from today, but he was welcomed with open arms.
His father striving for the American dream.
He found not just an education, but an opportunity that allowed him to build a life, support his families, and begin a legacy that continues today.
Tonight, his son continuing that legacy, surprising the graduates with an incredible gift.
In honor of my father, my wife Marilyn and I are providing a graduation gift to cover all the final year educational loans incurred by the Wilson College graduates during the 25-26 academic year.
his family paying off all their senior year student loan debt. The grads, their families on their feet, cheering and grateful.
Congratulations to 2026. Time to go forward. Go get them.
Congratulations. And a reminder, David will be anchoring from China tomorrow night. Have a great night.
David Muir, the most trusted anchor in America, the most watched anchor in America. Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir the #1 newscast in America.